Good afternoon. I am going to call this meeting to order. The Committee of the Whole for Wednesday, April 11th. My name is Andrea Jenkins. I am the chair of this committee. With me at the dais are council members Palmisano, Goodman, Schroeder, council member Johnson, council member Fletcher, and Councilmember Wright, Cano, and Gordon. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. And we are going to have a discussion of the pre-application for the Bloomberg's Arts Project, for the Bloomberg Public Arts Challenge. We will, this item was approved by the Enterprise Committee on March 29th and referred to the Committee of the Whole for additional information, and we will begin with the staff presentation by Ms. Mary Altman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mary Altman. I'm the Public Art Administrator for the city. I'm going to just briefly give you some background on the Bloomberg Public Art Challenge and then on the recommended partner for the challenge and the next steps. And the beginning of my presentation includes some images of projects that have been funded in the past by the Bloomberg Public Art Challenge. This one is a project called Breathing Lights, which happened in the capital region of New York, Albany, Troy, and Schenectady. And in case you can't tell from the photo, this project involved turning vacant buildings into kind of light boxes. So the windows have been replaced with light pieces. So the Bloomberg Public Art Challenge, these are the, they focus on supporting innovative temporary public art projects, thank you, that celebrate or enhance the vibrancy of cities. And their requirements are that only mayor's offices or chief executives are eligible to apply. The city must have an artist or an arts organization as partner. The project must address a critical civic issue. The project must be new. They have up to $1 million available, one proposal per city. The deadline is a week from tomorrow on April 19th, and 5 cities will be selected. Their criteria include that the project is innovative, that it has an impact on the city, that it's a partnership with the artist or arts organization, that there's an appropriate budget and the capacity to leverage support. They're very focused on outcomes and evaluation. The project needs to be technically feasible, and they're very interested in marketing and engagement and communication. So the process for selecting the city of Minneapolis as partner was based on the city's adopted public art policies and the process that the city has used for the past several years to select the annual partner for the NEA Our Town process. We did a request for partners early in March. The Public Art Advisory Panel, and as well as mayor representative and a council representative participated in the process of reviewing all of the applications and coming up with a recommendation, and Vice President Jenkins and Councilmember Cano were those representatives. We received 5 eligible applications. We're coming to you for an action to so that we can submit the grant, and we're in the process right now of developing the proposal with the recommended partner and doing revisions, and as I said, the deadline's next week. The 5 applicants that we received proposals from were Juxtaposition Arts, the Hennepin Theater Trust, Minneapolis College of Art and Design, Northern Lights, and the Weissman Museum. I have to say they were all really compelling applications, and there was a very short turnaround time, and they all worked really hard, and they were very impressive. The recommended partner is Juxtaposition Arts, and the focus of their proposal is to create 2 temporary art plazas for vacant or high opportunity public spaces, one in North and one in South. The location is on 2 commercial and cultural corridors, one on Lake Street, East Lake Street, and one on West Broadway. So the location on West Broadway is at Emerson and Broadway, and the proposed location on East Lake is in the Hiawatha area. They have additional partners, the Lake Street Council, West Broadway Coalition, and City of Skate. They propose to bring together community members, artivistas, developers, renters, low-wage workers, and businesses to imagine the future of what these locations can be, and also kind of the future of these cultural corridors. The civic issues that they're focusing on and their outcomes are preventing displacement, improving public safety, and stimulating economic vitality. Next steps are we're in the process of refining the proposal. Juxta is actually going to give us their draft on Monday, and then we're going to circulate it internally. So if you're interested in looking at it, let me know. Bloomberg has told us that they will could possibly shortlist cities, and then last time they shortlisted to 12 cities, and then do site visits and ask for additional information. We find out in September if we're funded, and if we are funded, then we come back to you and ask you for permission to enter into the agreement with Juxta to do the project.
Thank you for that presentation, Ms. Altman. Are there any questions for staff? Seeing none, I would speak to the proposal process. I agree with your assessment that there were some really outstanding applications, and all of them addressing some unique or urban challenge that we're facing in our city. And I was really surprised that there was a really strong consensus for this project, and I was thrilled about it. But people really saw the value, and I thought it was a really good process that we engaged in. So thank you for that work. And with that, I move to authorize submittal of the pre-application. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. That item carries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The only other business we have before us today is the receipt of reports from the standing committees on the matters to be considered by the full council at our regular meeting this Friday. And with that, I will begin with the Economic Development and Regulatory Services Committee chaired by Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you. The committee is bringing forward 9 items for approval on Friday. Item number 1 is the appointment of David Frank as the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development. There was a joint committee meeting with Zoning and Planning and Housing Policy, and he was unanimously voted for approval. Item 2 is an extended hours license at Holiday Superstation. Item 3 is a special late night food license at El Nuevo Miramar. Item 4 is a rental license revocation. Item 5 are the regular liquor, gambling, and business licenses. Item 6 is a license settlement conference recommendation. Item 7 is a redevelopment plan for the St. Anthony Falls Lock and Dam and surrounding areas. Item 8 is an assignment and modification of a property known as the Tide House properties. This is the 201 Lowry issue. And item number 9 is an MOU with Twin Cities Rise to work with them on their Fair Chance Hiring Toolkit. And we had a presentation by Tom Streitz on that Fair Housing Toolkit in committee. With that, I'm happy to answer questions on any of the items.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Chair Goodman. Our next report is from the Enterprise Committee chaired by Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are 6 items from Enterprise Committee being forwarded for your review on Friday. The first was the grant pre-application for this Bloomberg Arts Project Challenge. The second was a contract in support of 911 call handling protocol software. Item number 3 was a contract for maintenance and support of our fingerprint system for the crime lab. Item number 4 is an RFP to help with MINS and to keep track of our C loans program. It was the issuing an RFP for that effort. And items number 5 and 6 are both web content management systems and other Encuesta software requests from IT. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Palmisano. And our next committee report is the Housing Policy and Development Committee, chaired by Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The Housing Committee is coming forward with 3 items. The first is a quit claim deed for our property at 2212 36th Avenue, just correcting a title description error. Second item is approving an Affordable Housing Trust Fund award for the Dundry Hope Block Stabilization Phase 2 project. And the third is approving contracts with the Minnesota Home Ownership Center to continue providing administration and oversight of our home buyer education and financial wellness services. Happy to stand for questions on any of those.
Gordon, our next committee report is the Public Health and Environment, Civil Rights and Engagement Committee, and we'll get that report from the Vice Chair, Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President. The Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights and Engagement Committee is coming forward with 2 items. One is confirming appointments to the Minneapolis Advisory Committee on People with Disabilities, and the second is accepting a grant from the Mississippi Watershed Management Organization for summer interns.
Thank you, Chair Gordon. Vice Chair Gordon, are there any questions? Our next committee report is the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, chaired by Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this last cycle, the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee met in the community. We did not have an official meeting here in City Hall, but we had 2 public safety forums supported by our mayor and our council president, as well as your leadership. Thank you very much for that. We had very robust, deep, engaging conversations with diverse residents throughout our city. One in North Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Public Schools headquarters, and the other in at the Bethany Community Center in South Minneapolis last night. So what will follow now is we will have a landing page. We're working with our city staff to make sure that that landing page is connected to the public, and that folks can know they can come to that landing page to hear the outcomes of those meetings, the feedback that was shared. And then now our committee is in the process of taking that information in, that raw data that we received, and that those perspectives that were shared at those community meetings, so that we can prepare a presentation on those items for our next Public Safety Committee meeting, which is going to be on Thursday, May 17th. And the meeting that we're having this month for public safety will focus on the criminal justice reform efforts. So Thursday, April 19th, we will be discussing that with our city attorney's office, and our city attorney, Susan Siegel, will lead that presentation, but we'll need more time to be able to capture the information, organize it in a way that folks can access it publicly, and then go over a presentation about it in our May meeting. So that's kind of what we're working on now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Cano. I would just comment on the public safety committee meetings in the community, the public safety forums. You know, I experienced a lot of pain and trauma in the spaces that we were in, particularly last night. And it certainly comes on the heels of a very tragic situation. Rashad Williams, who was subsequently murdered after speaking out at the first public safety meeting. And I think a lot of those emotions boiled over into this subsequent meeting last night. but I think it's healthy for community to get those concerns out and to express the pain and sadness and frustration with some of the slow walking movement of our committee processes, and it's very, very understandable. But I just want to encourage us to continue to engage with community, and even in those difficult moments, as Councilmember Fletcher said, it's sometimes when we can glean the best lessons. So thanks for bringing that out to the community. Councilmember Cano?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will say that, we engaged over 300 people easily in those forums, and those forums would not have been possible and under my, estimation, a success had it not been for the broad support that we received from our clerk's office, from our own clerk, our head clerk, Casey, and certainly from communications and our staff members, several staff members in the offices of the various council members who sit on the Public Safety Committee stepped up at various times throughout the planning process and the implementation of those forums to provide support, bring resources, handouts, and help to navigate those very intense conversations that our community, I think, really wanted to have with us. So I do want to say thank you so much to our city clerk's office for supporting this effort. This was an unplanned community engagement set of actions in that last year we didn't really budget for them, but we knew that as policymakers coming in this year with this cohort, that it would be really important to set the tone. And so I'm hoping that we can debrief as a team internally and find out what the future of these conversations look like in City Hall, what we can learn from them, how we can make them better. And also just wanted to thank Leila Schuster, who's been a powerhouse organizer trying to make sure that these forums also go well, and Aisha Gomez, as well as Rita, who are in my office, who were really helpful in making sure that we were able to get these off the ground. So it's a new thing that our committee did, and I think the ground is fertile for growth and improvement, and ultimately for making lasting change that improves the lives of our community members. So thank you all who supported and who came out and who participated in those conversations, because they will be more than conversations. That's what we got to remember. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair Cano. And I do want to also just, in addition, acknowledge that many city department heads were there as well, including City Attorney Susan Siegel and Gretchen Musican, the fire chief, the police chief, our city coordinator, Nuria, was there. And so really, it was just an outstanding effort and opportunity for community engagement. Our next committee report is the Transportation and Public Works Committee, chaired by Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The committee forwards 23 items for full council approval. Items 1 through 4 are street resurfacing rehabilitation projects with amounts and locations listed. Item 5 is the Highway I-69 mobility study, results and resolution. Item 6 is the Green Line extension, a supplemental environmental assessment, amended draft for that evaluation. Item 7 is municipal state aid systems revisions. It's an annual revisiting of our map. Items 8 through 11 are various improvement layout projects. The locations are listed and amounts for those projects also listed. Item 12 is the 34th Avenue South Street reconstruction project, and that also lists its price, location, and that will set a public hearing for June 5th, 2018. Items 13 through 15 are contract amendments for existing activities of the department within the current contracts to continue that work or the work listed. Item 16 is a gift acceptance from Green Minneapolis for revitalization of PV Plaza. Very good news there. Items 17 through 19 are or actually items 17 through 22 are bids, most of which are accepting low bids for activities, seasonal activities of the department. And item 23 was a substantial report and a significant milestone as it represents the termination of the city's municipal national pollution discharge elimination system, combined sewer system overflow permit. And there's a report that explains the significance and work done there. I'll stand for questions, Madam Vice President.
Thank you, Chair Wright. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move to our next committee report. The Ways and Means Committee, chaired by Councilmember Warsame.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Ways and Means Committee has 9 items to bring forward to the full Council's consideration. The first item is a contract amendment with ICE Builders, Inc. for change orders to the Target Center ICE replacement project. The second item is a request for proposal for Convention Center and Target Center consulting pools. The third item is a contract amendment with Egan Company for change orders to the Target Center network installation project. The fourth item is a lease amendment with the Minnesota Department of Transportation for city use of land under Interstate Highway 394 bridges. The fifth item is a gift acceptance from Clear Channel Outdoor for display time. The sixth item is a bid for mailing services. The seventh item is a contract amendment with Riverview Windows, Inc. for lead remediation work correction to previous council action. The eighth item is an appointed position in the Human Resources Department, Director, Learning and Development Solutions. The ninth and final item is a target market program staff direction, directing the city coordinator's office through the supplier diversity work group to present to the Enterprise Committee of September 13, 2018, options that adapt the target market program to align with city goal of equity by incorporating racial, gender, and geographic equity into the program within state statutes and federal laws. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chair Warsame. Are there any questions? Seeing none, our next committee report is the Zoning and Planning Committee, chaired by Councilmember Schroeder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Zoning and Planning will be bringing forth 5 items. The first is the approval of 3 appointments. The second is the granting an appeal for zoning on behalf of 3 Degrees Ministry. The third is a rezoning at 1715 and 1717 Lake Street. The fourth is a rezoning at 340 24th Avenue Northeast, as well as 2601 through 2629 University Avenue Northeast. And the final is a alley vacation, and on behalf of the Landers Group, that's adjacent to the 38th Street Light Rail Station. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chair Schroeder. Are there any questions? Our next committee report is the Audit Committee, chaired by Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a great meeting this Monday at the Audit Committee, which is an independent committee of council. So while we heard a couple of new business items and got an update on the work plan, the one that we are forwarding for your consideration on Friday was the business continuity and disaster recovery IT audit. It's being recommended to be referred to the next Ways and Means Committee through City Council, and also an offer of support to fund in the future an enterprise-wide formal business impact analysis for disaster recovery business continuity purposes. So that is on the agenda for Friday. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair Palmisano. And our next committee report, I'm sorry, are there any questions regarding the Audit Committee report? Our next committee report then is the Executive Committee, and Councilmember Gordon will read that committee's report in the Vice Chair Bender's absence.
Thank you very much. The Executive Committee is just bringing 2 items forward. The first is reappointment of the Fire Chief, and the second is reappointment of Director of Regulatory Services. So they'll be referred to the Council, and then on Friday we'll move them forward to the appropriate committee to set the public hearing.
Thank you, Councilmember Gordon. Are there any questions? Seeing none, it moves us to the completion of our agenda. I do want to note and alert everybody that our next committee of the whole meeting on April 25th will also incorporate the first race equity subcommittee meeting. And we are moving the time of the committee of the whole to 10 a.m. on April 25th in order to accommodate a presentation from the Office of Race Equity and pulling together all of the other activities that have been ongoing in the city, and make sure we have a broad awareness and understanding of all of the work that is being done so that we can help direct that work moving forward in the future. I hope that all of you are able to rearrange your schedules to make it. I think it's going to be a really good meeting. We are publicizing it and inviting the public to participate, and we'll have a number of presentations as well. So with that, I move to adjourn this meeting. And our meeting is adjourned.